What's up, you guys? It's me, it's Jake. We're back with another reaction video, and this time it's another top 10 list. It's the 10 scientifically impossible places that actually exist. And being scientifically impossible, I'm not surprised, because science used to be the way that I saw the world. I used to be an atheist. Is that an atheist? Looking at every situation through science. Well, I tell you what, the older you get, the more you realize that science can't explain all. And apparently it can't explain these 10 places that actually exist that look inexplicable. So there's really only one thing left to do, and that is to watch the video. It's got a pretty surprisingly high amount of dislikes. I don't know why. 311,000 likes, 35 million views. Let's get into it. I mean, the channel, we haven't actually watched this one yet. It's called Mind Boggler. One of my favourite games as a kid was called Boggle. And if any of you guys have played that, please let me know down in the comment section below. But let's get into this. Boggle.
Want to see more cool videos on our channel? We do, so press this bell and enable to send notifications.
The 7 wonders of the natural world may have been named too quickly. Wonders like the Grand Canyon and Victoria Falls are certainly big, and anyone who sees them will surely be impressed. But sheer size isn't enough to...
Oh my lord, look, this is probably the most impressive footage of the pyramids, or of a pyramid, that I've ever seen, due to the fact that it's moving, and we can also see other buildings beside it, clearly a lot smaller. Look at the individual bricks, look at the individual levels. I'd absolutely love to visit the pyramids one day, I really would.
Could truly leave a person in awe. There are other places in this world, though, that are far stranger. Places that seem almost alien, as if they could only exist on a planet that evolved separately from our own.
What?
These are places...
What the fuck is that?
As if they could only
That's
exist
Photoshop,
on a
surely.
planet that evolved...
Right. Someone is good at Photoshop, I'll give you that.
Separately from our own. These are places that scientists have had to struggle just to understand how they ever could have been formed. Places that will truly make you wonder, not just because they're beautiful, but because they seem to follow scientific laws that don't exist anywhere else on Earth. Number 10. Devil's Kettle. As far as natural mysteries go, the Devil's Kettle in Minnesota is one of the most intriguing ones.
Devil's?
At a particular point along the Brule River, the river's water splits into two.
This is fascinating.
One split continues its course onto the Lake Superior, and the other split, well, we
Where does it go?
have no clue where it goes.
What?
Scientists know
What?
it has to end up somewhere, but we don't know where that is. Scientists first tried putting dye into the kettle and waited to see which part of the lake turns up colors. It was a futile effort. Nothing turned up. Next, they decided to try it with ping pong balls. They also vanished without a trace. What the hell is going on?
My thoughts exactly.
Know that laws of science dictate that the water has to turn up somewhere, even if it is being stored.
I guess because they're inexplicable, they're not actually going to give us an explanation, which being, you know, scientifically based in a previous life, that kind of triggers me, I'm not going to lie.
Stored underground. There should be markings, and it should be traceable.
Well, I mean, all it's going to take is for someone to follow that water into that hole and wherever it goes, but that's going to take some balls, if nothing else.
Aliens, parallel universe, glitch in our programming, some Mayan trick? Your guess is as good as mine. Number 9. Hessdalen Lights. Residents of Hessdalen Valley, Norway are continually living in a realm of great scientific mystery. Almost every night, lights appear in the sky. They are of bright colors. They dance around, shift shapes, flash unmistakably, and disappear, only to appear the next day during the night. This has been going on for 4 decades at least. Scientists are perplexed by this mystery. There are theories though, but none seems to be good enough. Since at least the early 1930s, people have spotted the lights and hypothesized what could be causing them. One theory suggests that
Shit, I tell you what, that previous clip with that light traveling across the sky reminds me of something I saw in the Alice Springs sky probably about 3 years ago. I actually made a Facebook post about it. It'll be on my Facebook if you want to check it. And the Facebook post read, "Don't tell me I'm the only one that saw that." That is the first and only time I've ever seen something inexplicable to me in the night sky. I believe, it's got to be some form of like meteorite coming through the atmosphere, firing up, being lit up so much that you can see it from ground level. And it was, traveling across. I've seen shooting stars. I mean, I don't know how they work. I really don't. Due to the fact they're so high up, yet they're traveling such a far distance in such a short amount of time. I don't know how shooting stars work. But this was a meteorite. Probably the first one I've seen, and it traveled all across the sky. It was literally like, it had a tail. And I thought, am I dreaming? What the hell am I seeing here? I mean, it's not a UFO. I don't believe it's a UFO. It is, it is explicable. But I was so blown away. I was absolutely gobsmacked that I had to go back to Facebook and say, don't tell me I'm the only one that saw that. And being in a place that's so remote and so isolated as Alice Springs, there's only 25 or 30,000 people living there, so it wasn't guaranteed that someone else saw it. And I don't think that anyone else did see it. But I can guarantee I did. But I don't know what these lights are.
the lake is radioactive. The radon rides dust particles, and upon elevations it decays and produces lights. Another theory suggests that the base of the valley is full of sulfuric acid. Sulfur reacts to the water and produces what scientists call sparks. Hundreds of tests have been performed to pinpoint the exact cause, but to no avail. Number 8. Movile Cave. In southeastern Romania, there is a cave that was locked away from the slightest ray of light for 5.5 million years, and that has a completely different atmosphere from the Earth. The cave was discovered by workers looking to set up a power plant. They tested the ground to see if it was a safe place to build, and cracked open a pathway that leads into one of the strangest places on Earth.
Imagine bringing light into a place that hadn't seen light for 5.5 billion years. What the hell are you going to find down there?
If you descend through the narrow shaft and past a series of tunnels, you enter a chamber with a lake of sulfuric water stinking
What is that thing?
of rotten eggs. The air there is toxic, filled with hydrogen sulfide, and contaminated with 100 times the surface's level of carbon dioxide. The strangest part, though, is that a whole ecosystem has survived inside.
Wow.
Researchers have found 33 species inside the cave that don't exist anywhere outside of it.
Now that is some interesting stuff.
They've adapted to survive in a sulfuric atmosphere, living by feeding off the foam on top of the stones. Number 7. Lake Karachay. The Soviet Union had many nuclear facilities, and most of them were ill-planned and unsafe. Inside one such factory, there is a lake. The lake's water has more radioactive material than anywhere else on Earth. Lake Karachay is so radioactive that you will die within an hour if you stand near it. Soviets dumped nuclear waste into the lake. Their nuclear practices have caused a few problems with the lake in the past. In 1957, an explosion blew the factory apart, and the radioactive particles spread more than 23,000 kilometers. The area is more...
These massive nuclear factories just look like a disaster waiting to happen. That's why I'm so proud to be from a country like New Zealand that said no to nuclear power. But I do believe in future, when all of these natural resources do dry up eventually, it's bound to happen. But I feel like the way that a nuclear power plant, so to speak, I don't even know how it works, to be honest, but I feel like there's going to be some way that they do it that's safer than most others and reduces the risk to humans. But really, can you trust that? I don't know.
The lake has been covered with concrete to keep these disasters from happening. Still, the entire place is
Concrete.
unstable and massively radioactive. Number 6. The Double Tree of Casorzo. In the countryside of Piemonte, Italy, there is an unusual sight.
The double tree. Are they going to say that it's two different types of tree in one?
There is a cherry tree there that looks, in most respects, just like any other healthy cherry tree, except that it happens to be growing directly on top of a mulberry tree.
What? I'll tell you what comes to mind looking at that. 6 Feet Under. Now, for anyone who was born in the 90s, do you remember the show, the drama on TV called 6 Feet Under? If you do, let me know down in the comment section below.
This isn't completely unprecedented. Parasitic trees have grown out of others before, but normally they are small, stunted things that live short lives before falling off. The Double Tree of Casorzo, though, consists of 2 fully formed, healthy trees.
What?
Each spreading its branches 5 meters across.
That's unbelievable. So they're both alive, they're both growing. That's like a Siamese twin.
Nobody quite knows how it happened. The locals believe that a bird may have dropped a cherry seed on top of the mulberry tree. The seed grew roots that pushed through the mulberry tree's hollow trunk and reached all the way to the soil below.
That'd make sense. If they have a hollow trunk, I mean, the roots, basically all they need to do, they're not going to take their nutrients from that tree. They need to get into the ground, right? I guess that explains it.
Letting it survive and grow into a full, healthy tree.
Imagine seeing that. Well, I've seen it now. Kind of ruins it, but seeing it for the first time, not having known it's there, you'd be like, what in the actual fuck?
Number 5. The Sleeping City of Kalachi. The city of Kalachi, Kazakhstan is not Disney's creation. It is as real as it gets. Citizens of Kalachi face a very peculiar epidemic. People just collapse into naps randomly, even while...
What?
They also report memory loss, fatigue, and hallucinations. The epidemic affects people from all genders and ages. Kazakhstan has even recommended evacuations, but they are no closer to solving the problem. One theory suggests that the residents are facing some kind of radiation poisoning, since the area is near a uranium mine. However, there are flaws in that theory. All the blood tests and other monitoring has turned up zero evidence. Secondly, there is a town which is closer to the mine than Kalachi, and they have reported no such epidemic. Number 4. Circles of Namibia.
Bro, can you hear that? I'll tell you what, Rockhampton has been having some absolutely incredible rainfall recently, and so has the rest of Australia. In fact, right at this very moment, you're not going to believe this, but New South Wales, and in particular Sydney, you'll know Sydney, it's one of the most populated cities in the world, has been having a 1 in 50 year event in the last couple of days, a flooding event. And we've got the remnants of it up here in Queensland. It's not good. If I was in New South Wales right now, I'd be fucking worried. But I'm in Queensland, so we're not so bad. Anyway, let's continue.
There is an ecological mystery
The circles of Namibia.
sitting throughout Namibia.
Now, the only thing I think of when I think of Namibia is rugby. They're actually half decent.
The industrial.
Well, not the best. In fact, I think we might have beaten them about 145 points to 19 in the 1995 World Cup. But they love rugby, at the very least.
There are fields of grass with circles carved in them at
Huh? There's no vegetation in these circles. What is underneath the ground?
regular intervals. The circles are almost perfectly created and can range from 10 to 65 feet in diameter.
Isn't that weird?
And by the way, if you are thinking of the movie The Signs, you are not alone. Forget explaining
Well, I was going to say crop circles, but no.
the circles. Scientists are not even sure of the more basic questions, such as, why are there circles? Why not any random shape?
It looks, I mean, that looks like the close-up view through a microscope of a petri dish with some bacteria growing. if you didn't tell me that that was, 100 meters in the air, looking at it from an aerial view, I would think instantly that was under a microscope. And to think that, I mean, there's, this is just, I guess, another form of bacteria in a bigger scale. I mean, what do you guys make of that?
Nothing grows in these circle patches. Scientists have
Isn't that weird?
come up with various theories, and all have been debunked almost immediately. In 2013, Norbert Jurgens, an environmental scientist, said that termites were the cause of the circles. But in 2015, biologist Walter Schinkel tested the hypothesis and disproved it. Number 3. The hum of Taos. A barely audible buzzing sound that you cannot pinpoint can infuriate you. We have all been there when a distant lawnmower or our TV starts making a buzz, and unless and until we don't find where it's coming from, it feels like our brain is eating itself from the inside. Now imagine the pain and frustration of residents of Taos in New Mexico. Since the early 1990s, large numbers of residents of Taos have complained about a constant humming sound. It can be heard all around the town and has driven people nuts. For 20 years, various investigators have tried to locate the hum, but to no success. Some scientists have hypothesized that the town's residents are super hearers who can detect sound that ordinary humans can't. But doesn't that raise more questions than it answers? Number 2. Never-ending lightning storm.
That was a weird one.
In western...
I mean, you'd have to go there and actually experience it for yourself. But I'm assuming that an outsider going into that town would not be able to hear it. So, can you have genetic traits like that from a certain town? I don't know.
Venezuela, over the Catatumbo River, there is a storm that never ceases. Starting at 7 p.m. every night, lightning crashes over the water for 10 hours every night, 260 nights each year. Nobody knows for sure why
Well, that's not every night.
it happens. Up until recently, the leading theory was that it had something to do
Look at that place. What an unbelievable scene. There's a lot going on there.
with uranium in the bedrock, although scientists are starting to doubt it. Today, the leading theory is a complicated one. It posits that the shape of the mountains cause warm trade winds to collide with cold air from the Andes. That collision is then fueled by the rapidly evaporating water below and methane from a nearby oil field. Nobody actually knows for sure, though, why it happens. Everything about it is mysterious, including one moment in 2010 when it inexplicably stopped. One day, the storm just died down without explanation and seemed for a while to be over. Then, after 6 weeks of silence, it sparked up again and has been raging ever since.
If that picture's real, then that is something else. Oh, fuck! I'll be going right inside, mate. I wouldn't be... Okay. Well, if there's... Look, I don't know if that's real or not, but your chances of getting struck by lightning are, I'm going to say 100-fold if you're standing in that. That's absolutely ridiculous. The only place that's similar to that I've actually lived in before is Darwin in the Northern Territory. And throughout the wet season, which is, probably half of the year, every single afternoon at about 2 or 3 p.m, a storm rolls in. It rains, not only rains, sometimes thunder, sometimes worse, but it's certainly rain. The rain clouds come in 3 o'clock in the afternoon, every single afternoon. It's humid as hell, the rain comes, it's expected, everyone knows it. That's why it's called the wet season. In a place like Darwin, there's not 4 seasons. There's just wet and dry. And it's always hot.
Number 1. The Boiling River. Deep in the Amazon lies a river 4 miles long and unlike any other on Earth. The Shenandoah Timpishka is so hot that any animal that steps into it gets boiled alive.
What?
When a hapless creature wanders in, the eyes cook first, melting in its skull. Soon the animal is in too much pain to keep swimming to safety. Water fills its mouth and lungs, and it is cooked from the inside out. The river gets as hot as 91 degrees Celsius.
What? 91 degrees Celsius, 100 degrees is boiling point, right?
196 degrees Fahrenheit. And scientists aren't completely sure why. Normally, water that gets this hot is
Holy shit, where is that?
fed by a volcano, but this one is 700 kilometers removed from the nearest one. There is a theory, though. Scientists believe that boiling hot water from under the earth cracks through fault lines and heats up the river, making the water a geothermal system unlike any other on Earth. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, please let me know by clicking the like button. Do share, write a comment, and don't forget to subscribe so that you can catch up my next video.
Alright mate, I'm actually going to give you a like. But I don't know why there's 41,000 dislikes. Let's have a look at the comments. Imagine going to take a swim in your local... Okay, this is the teapot. Was it the kettle? Sorry, the kettle. Imagine going to take a swim in your local lake when suddenly the water turns green and thousands of ping pong balls come up. That's hilarious. Jumping into the devil's kettle has been added to my bucket list. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's all anyone needs to do, right? We all know why we're watching this. We're bored as fuck in quarantine. No, we're just trying to make reaction videos for a new channel. This guy talks like an alien who learned English from a book and is doing an okay job at sounding natural. No one knows where the water goes, but scientists know it goes somewhere. That's what I thought. Narrator, lake is so radioactive, and then someone puts their hand in the water to collect a sample. I'm like, yeah, that didn't make sense. Anyways, guys, none of it makes sense because it's scientifically impossible, apparently. But at the very least, I hope you enjoyed the video. I certainly did. And in the next one, we're going to check out something different. You never know what you're going to get from this channel, and neither do I. So with that being said, if you have enjoyed it, please hit the like button, consider subscribing, turn the notification bell on, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.